Hi, my name is the Grad Hacker and I help average graduates get onto high paying graduate schemes. In this video, I'm going to talk you through the STAR method and how to use it and why it's so powerful. So, if you've got interviews coming up for your graduate schemes or graduate jobs or any job for that matter, the STAR method is what you want to use for your interviews, and it's by far the best framework that I've used, and it works every single time. It's just the best framework out there. It's really easy to remember, and it also just makes your interview answers really, really good just by using this framework. Okay, so if you don't know what STAR is, you might already know what it is, but it basically stands for situation, task, action, result. So it's a four-step framework which you just follow and you kind of you just fill it in. So when you're constructing an answer for your interview questions, you want to start off with talking about the situation that you were in, the task that you did or you had to do, the action that you took, and the result that was that happened because of what you did. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an example just to show you what a good interview answer looks like. And this is from my interview questions and answers document, which I include in my course, the Graduate X program. If you're interested, you can check it out in the description below. And I've got a bunch of very common questions that I got asked in my interviews and the answers that I used, and the graduate schemes that I passed in, those answers are the ones that I've kept in that document, and I basically share it with my students. So this is just an example from that. So this is something that's worked, so I'm just going to share it with you. So basically what you want to do, you want to split it into the STAR format. So situation, task, action, result. We'll start off with the situation first. So what you want to do is you want to obviously have different lengths for each of these four parts. Okay, so with the situation, I would say give it a few lines. So about 2 lines should do the trick. So just a small, 2 line paragraph. Talk about the situation, what happened, what's going on. Then we come on to the task, which is about 1 line. This is the task that I had to do, or this is what I was told to do, or this is what I did, or this is what I intended to do. Then you've got the action. The action is the biggest part of the whole chunk, right? It's the biggest chunk because you talk about what you did. What's the action that you took? So I would say this is about four lines. And then we've got last thing is the result. So a result is just like 1 line. You're just gonna say what happened, what changed because of what you did, right? That's basically what it is. So let's go into the example now. Start off with the situation, 2 lines. In my university team project, one of my team members was from Europe and her English wasn't very good. She was struggling to understand the project brief. So that's the situation. Just tell them what's going on. Then we have the task. So I decided to help her. I started off by sitting down with her and finding out what she was finding difficult and why. This is what my task was. Now, a task doesn't have to be something that's given to you, it can be something that you've picked up yourself. So, in this case, I decided to help her. That was the task that I had to complete, or I wanted to complete. And then I move on to the action. So, I made sure to listen carefully to what she had to say. I took down notes, asked lots of questions to get to the crux of the problem. I then created a quick plan of action on some of the information she could research to get her up to speed and explain some of the more challenging concepts to her in an easy to understand manner using hand gestures, visual illustrations on a whiteboard to help her understand. What I also did as part of my communication with her was that I asked her questions to make sure she fully understood everything. At all times whilst communicating with her, I was patient, made her feel supported, and gave her every opportunity to ask as many questions as she needed. So that is basically the action that I took. So you can see this is the largest chunk of it, and it's very much like I did this, I did this, I did that. That is how you want to frame this. This is what I did. This is where I went to. This is who I asked. It's all about you and what you did. So you got to show your proactiveness in this. And then the result was my great communication skills and proactive approach helped the team member set clear goals for what was expected from her, and helped her play her vital role in the success of the team project. So you can see that the result is something that wasn't there before, but now there is. Okay, she wasn't being able to engage with the team or contribute to the team before because she couldn't understand like a lot of what was going on because of the language barrier. Now she can. So you basically improved the situation. So that's a great example, and that's a great example of helping someone, right? That's a great example of communication. Great example of solving a problem, right? So whatever question they ask you, when have you solved a problem, when have you communicated with somebody else, when have you worked as a part of a team, you could, maybe this is not a good example for teamwork, but it's still a good example for those other competencies. Yeah, so that's the sort of thing you want to do. So that's an example answer, but I want to show you the structure that I used to come up with that answer. Now this is brilliant because it stops you from rambling on and talking about things that are not really relevant to what the recruiter is looking for. The STAR method really helps you contain that, and it puts it in a format which is easy for you to remember because you can just remember STAR, and it also stops you from waffling and talking about things that are not relevant. Some people might not have this problem. I certainly do, and a lot of people, other people certainly do. When it comes to giving an answer, you're just rambling or you're trying to scratch your head, trying to think of what you need to say. And the STAR method just really makes it really, really easy for you. So here are some more tips I'm going to give you when it comes to the STAR method and also just interviews in general. Number one, try to use workplace experience if you can over uni experiences. You can use experiences from your university. Obviously, most of the times, you uni students are going into these interviews for the first time, and you only have uni experience. You don't have any work experience. But if you can, try and use work experience or come up with scenarios from your work experience, because you got to think of it this way: the recruiter is from a workplace, so they can only compare you to a workplace. So if the better you can make that easier for them by giving examples from a workplace, the easier it's going to be for them to kind of judge how good you are. And this is not like a strict rule, but I'm assuming they would rather prefer someone who's giving examples from their work experience where they can compare it with their current colleagues, rather than someone who's done something in uni and they can't really compare that. Yeah, it's not a hard and fast rule, but it's just better if you can to use work experiences. The reason why I say this is because I remember at least two of my graduate interviews, I remember them asking me some questions, and then on the second or third questions, I was giving uni examples, right? So on the second or third questions, I think this happened twice actually. Said, try to give us examples if you have from your work experiences, if you've got any work experience. So yeah, that happened twice as well. So that means that they do want to hear from work experiences if possible. So yeah, just the first tip for you there. Second tip is it's all about your delivery. So make sure you practice delivering with confidence. You could be chatting shit for all they know, right? You could be absolutely telling lies, but it's the way you deliver it. Now, I'm not saying tell lies, but what I'm saying is if that scenario or the answer that you're giving didn't actually happen, but you give it with such a good delivery where they actually believe you, it's all to do with your delivery. You've done your job, right? But if you give a really good answer and your delivery is a bit off and you mess up and stuff, obviously that's gonna factor into how well they mark you down or mark you up. So work on your delivery, work on how you come across. Obviously, work on how you present yourself and how you speak. Stay concise and get to the point. So that's something definitely to work on if you struggle with it. I know I did. I still struggle with it to a certain degree, but that is something that you have to work on. Number three, keep your answers realistic. They don't have to be 100% true, but basically don't take the piss. As long as you abide by the STAR method and deliver confidently, you should be good to go. So yeah, just again going back to the other point that I mentioned, the previous point. I'm not saying lie, but your scenarios don't have to be like 100% true. You could take something that's happened with somebody else and kind of morph that in and come up with your own answer. Obviously, don't take the piss in the sense that, obviously don't make it unrealistic, right? Don't say, oh yeah, we started a startup and it's making millions of pounds a month, right? Obviously not. But you can kind of bend the truth a little bit, just to kind of highlight certain aspects or certain skills or certain competencies that they're looking for. Even if it's not happened in your life, it could have happened in somebody else's life, or you could have just made it up. But like I said, if you have genuine examples, that's the best. But sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, and yeah, just make sure that your delivery is on point so that it looks genuine. Number 4 is I would make a bank of answers to common questions in a notepad and apply the STAR method to each one of these. You can then morph these into whatever question you get. So this is a great thing to do. I've actually done this myself, and I've created that document like I mentioned earlier on, and I give that to my students in the Graduate X program as part of the bonuses. But if that's not something you want to do, then you can do it yourself, right? You don't have to go through the course. You can do it yourself. It just means that you have to go through lots of interviews and actually find out what the questions are and what answers are going to work. But the quicker you start, the better it's going to be. Start making a document where you just have questions that have come up in your interviews and just dump down a load of answers that you've used. And then when you have the next interview, you obviously have a bank of those questions and answers, and you can just pluck them out. And because you've probably answered, one or two of them before, you know exactly what to say. And you can morph those into the STAR method as well. So that's another tip I'm going to give you there. All right, so last but not least, I'm just going to say, if you're struggling to get onto a grad scheme, or you want to fast track your progress to getting onto a high paying graduate scheme, then I recommend that you check out my first link in the description below, which is to my premium Graduate X course. And in there, I basically teach you step by step how to get onto a high paying graduate scheme. So if you're interested in that, check it out, and I'll see you on the other side. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.